The information shared on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While we discuss topics related to mental health, well-being, and emotional support, we are not providing therapy or medical services. Always seek the advice of your physician, psychologist, psychiatrist, or other qualified mental health provider with any questions you may have regarding a mental health condition. If you are in crisis, feeling unsafe, or need immediate support, please contact a mental health professional or emergency services in your area. The views expressed by guests and hosts are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of any affiliated organizations or institutions.
Get inspired, get motivated with Maya Akai and the Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition podcast.
Something that I take pride in is trying to be forward thinking, thinking outside the box, challenging myself. And as I challenge myself, hopefully I challenge you.
Find Maya on Twitter and Instagram at Maya_Akai. On Facebook at Maya Akai Presents.
We're going to talk health, wealth, fitness, mental health, financial, lots of different things that can empower you as you seek out the ambition that you're pursuing.
Or get everything Maya at MayaAkai.com.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition. You know, I like to say that my podcast likes to embrace salient topics, specifically mental wellness, and I like to give it from a fresh and forward-thinking perspective. So with that being said, if you are a first-time listener or viewer, welcome aboard. I just say buckle up for safety because occasionally it can be an unexpected bumpy ride. You just might have an aha moment. And of course, if you're a returning listener or viewer, then you know exactly how we get down here. For the next 40, 50 minutes, find that space that you can relax and listen and reflect. Grab a pen and paper so we can do some dating reflection. Of course, it's 5 o'clock someplace, so grab your beverage of choice as well, tea, coffee, or whatever. And let's have a really serious conversation about dating. So returning to the show is Tori Castagnier, who is Coach LoveIsntEnough. And we're going to dive into this. I could not do this on my own because when we talk about having dating goals, I feel like I want to bring in the expert. And as you know, Tori is a dating and relationship expert, author. He's a master life coach, all these things. So when I talk about expertise about how this works, people come to him to figure this out. So I figured I should bring him to you. So of course, remember, if you've got questions and you want to get involved in the conversation, you can always post your comments in the chat on YouTube or Facebook, and I can share them. I want to note this. I might have said something you might have been like, oh, your guest has been here before? Absolutely. So if you missed the first episode, I'm going to tell you this is the lead into this episode. So I would encourage you to go back and listen. Remember, you can always find episodes of Maya on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much any podcast platform. I am there. Just search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition. You can make your life super easy by now if you just subscribe and share my YouTube channel at Maya Speaks to You. And of course, that's all my social media as well. Instagram, X, Facebook, you can find me there. But remember, everybody, I've made this easy for you. You can take Maya on the go. It's the Maya Experience app, and it's available in the Apple and the Amazon stores. All you have to do is search the Maya Experience, and voila, it's right there. And you'll never have to wonder what's going on with the show. In fact, I'll make it even a little bit easier for you. You can always scan these QR codes right here, and boom, in the Apple Store, Amazon, and then all you have to do is just download, and you are ready to go. So you can always have Maya on the go. You'll know when I'm posting things to the blog, and you'll always know when there are new shows coming up as well. That's just how easy I'm making this for everybody. But with that being said, let's jump into the conversation because I am actually really excited. Navigating the cyber dating world, AKA dating apps. Dating is probably one of the number one things I talk about in therapy with people. And a lot of people feel very conflicted with this. So if you're ready to crack the code on dating apps, well, this is the episode you should be listening to because we're going to do a deep dive into digital dating scene to help you swipe smarter and to find genuine connections because it's possible despite what people think. In this episode, we're going to cover the reality of dating apps. What's really happening behind the scenes so you can understand how to make it work for you. 2, the mental wellness piece. A lot of people start to get frustrating with dating because they're not having success. So then they start to feel like maybe I'm just meant to be alone. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And they kind of want to back away. Well, we want to make sure you have some mental wellness approach to this as well. But we're going to do this because we have our expert, Tori Castagnier, aka at Coach LoveIsntEnough, to share what you need to know to be able to make the changes that maybe you're doing some things wrong and you don't even know it at this point. So without further ado, let's bring to the Maya stage Coach LoveIsntEnough, Tori Castagnier. Hello, Tori. Happy to have you back.
Thank you. And I am excited to be back, especially talking about one of my favorite topics.
Can I just tell you, as I said before, a lot of people come into therapy and they're highly frustrated because they're not having success on dating apps. They feel like they get ghosted, they get tons of messages, but no outcomes. And I feel like in anything else, there has to be a method to this madness. How you approach it, how to even maybe read someone's profile to figure out if this is person that's really worth talking to. But let me throw something at you because I am a dating dinosaur. But the good thing is I don't have to date anymore because I'm married. So but there were some stats that I think are interesting why I think people cannot shy away from dating apps because a lot of people don't want to do it, especially people in my generation, the 50 plus people, they really don't like dating apps. But here's what the data is telling us. Pew Research did a deep dive into this, and they said more couples are meeting online in the US. Think about this. In 1995, mind you, this is when girls were wearing no lashes, natural hair, and didn't have BBLs. So we was just rocking natural, right? 2%. It was all about physical appearance, which makes me wonder if that's why people are kind of kicking the game up. I don't know. It has risen to 39% since 2017. Who knows what the number even looks like now? I'm going to say it's probably closer to maybe 40 plus.
Maybe 50, maybe 45.
Maybe even, I think it's much higher than it was in 2017. The other part to this, it's saying, is that a lot of younger people from 18 to roughly 29 years old, they're using dating apps and they're roughly at 48% with the people that they actually then did within their research. And the last piece that's interesting, and this is where I think people get kind of a negative view of dating apps. When they did their review, they said that 53% of users did say it's a positive experience, but they reported they feel it's really hard to find someone genuine or authentic online compared to meeting people in person. What are your thoughts about what this dating data is saying?
So let's first talk about the dating data from 1995 to 2017. I remember the early 2000s Yahoo chat because there wasn't that many options when we talk about dating online. It was Yahoo chat, Black Planet, MySpace. And a lot of times people would say it is dangerous to meet people online. Let's not use that. And they weren't lying. It wasn't really safe. There was no protocols in place for a lot of websites. It was like meeting people on the dark web. And with the advancement in technology and the fact that now you can verify easily how a person look, with the technology changing with video apps now, like think about, I don't know if you remembered your computer in 95, but imagine trying to have a video conversation on a gateway computer in 1999, right? Like that would have took 5 hours just to say hello to someone.
Well, because one, it was dial-up. So, it's dial-up.
Yeah.
So the idea of Wi-Fi, like you're right. So dial-up, it was definitely more complicated. And back when you kind of define that point, I was in a dating phase. And you're right. It was all the platforms you said, and it was really new. So definitely I agree that number is bigger. But let me tell you the dating data for me that kind of makes me scratch my head and maybe be a little concerned. When I look at the dating data that says that pretty much people from 18 to 29 are finding more of their, I guess you can say, either dating prospects or relationships online. And I'm like, well, when I was between that age, I was out and about and doing things. And I met people in person. This is interesting that more people are going online. Well, not more, but we're almost at 50% at this point. Finding people online is more social.
Remember when you were a kid and your age, going out to play was actually going outside until the lights came on. And once the lights came on, you had to come in. So you were raised in a generation of people who let's go out and see people in person. But the people who are 18 to 29 now, they grew up on YouTube, they grew up to Gmail, they grew up to Wi-Fi. So the internet was already a safe space for them by the time they got to the age of, okay, I'm ready to date and I'm ready to meet people. And so they're not, because our generation, even now, our generation of people still feel like online dating is the best method. And they still feel like, well, I'll just go and meet someone in person. And I keep telling people that say that, I'm like, so are you willing to go to somewhere new every week? Like, don't tell me you're going to the same type of clubs every day or every week and then wondering why there's no good candidates out here. Are you willing to go travel to other countries? Are you willing to travel to other states? Are you willing to go somewhere new, do a pottery class? Are you willing to do you have enough time for that? I have a client now who works 3 jobs, have children of their own, wants to date, doesn't have the time to actually go out and meet people, but thinks that's the best way to meet people. And I'm like, if you don't download this dating app and just utilize your free time at work, what do you're at work all the time.
Okay, and I agree with you on this. And even though I would say I'm a dating dinosaur and I'm not a fan of dating apps, I say the same things to people that when they're in therapy, like, look, given your time constraints, you may really have to consider this. Not to
Yeah.
mention, some of the people, not some, a majority of the people that you would meet online, you're never going to cross paths. You're never going to be in the same space. So hence you could be meeting a potential, miss out on missing a potential person because you think that meeting someone in person is the only option. So that is the upside that I see to this. But let me throw this out there though. According to new findings, and I was trying to find the research, but I got, I was like, okay, no, I'll just throw it out there and we'll talk about it. There is now a there's a loneliness epidemic, allegedly, that many males are saying they are struggling with dating. But here's my question. Is potentially the dating epidemic that people feel more lonely, is this potentially tied to the fact that people aren't out and about and they're not connecting and they're not meeting people face to face and the only real interaction is cyber?
So I have a counterproductive thought to that. I don't think dating apps and cyber has anything to do with the male loneliness epidemic that's coming about. I think what's happening is you have men who are still learning traditional dating values while looking for a modern valued woman, right? And those don't mix. You can't still have the traditional values of what old school men thought the world was and how they were in control, because old school marriage is questionable. And so now that women are a lot more free and they can do for themselves, live for themselves, and have better choices, you are finding a lot of loneliness from men who aren't able to transfer over to the modern era of dating and a modern woman that they're looking for. Now, that's not to say that they can't find that woman who has those old traditional values. They do still exist. We're not saying that they don't. There are young people who has that mindset as well. But my advice that I always give to people is that the world is changing and it's always changing fast. And
And
if
we're
you are still dating based off of your grandparents' advice, you need to let your grandparents' advice go.
Well, I guess it also depends on what your grandparents told you. But you're
Yeah.
correct, because this is a conversation before we were having this episode that I kept, it's a trendy topic and I think it's called a trad wife is what they're taking the word traditional, putting it with wife. And I was seeing like a couple posts and discussions about would you be willing to step into this role as a trad wife if you met someone who wanted that? And I thought that was interesting, but we'll dive in that a bit. Let's talk about another one of the actual things that came from the Pew research that I think is interesting. They pretty much said in the research, they found in the people they surveyed that 53% of users did report that it was overall a positive experience doing digital dating, but they did report it did not feel as authentic or genuine as compared to meeting in people in person. Thoughts?
I would ask if they're one of the type of people who only dates one person at a time, and then once they get someone's phone number, do they just completely ignore the dating app and only focus on that one person? Because if that is you, stop it, stop it, stop it now. Talk to multiple people and expand your net. The biggest reason this keeps happening is let's say it so we don't make people mad. Most people lazy. And so they'll just get one person and they'll be so excited with this one person, but then find out later on that this person isn't genuine or doesn't have that they're not authentic. And so then they keep running into this, or they keep running into people who only want one thing. But if you still only talking to one person, this can make you very hard and make it very frustrating. If you know how to use the dating apps correctly, dating apps is like graphic calculators. If you are using a graphic calculator just for multiplication, you are not using this for the experience that it can provide for you. But if you are in a trigonometry class and you need the right solutions, now you have the right product. And when it comes to dating apps, you have to take yourself out of the algebraic expressions of just a regular multiplications class. And it's time to take yourself to a trigonometry class. It's time for you to update. What are you looking for? What do you truly want? Once you know what outcome you want, then it's easy to talk about what dating app to download. Then it's easy to talk about how to use the dating app, but you have to use the dating app correctly. And I'm gonna tell you right now, because I do searches on dating apps all the time, especially even with my clients, I have them give me their login information so I can review their bio and how they're communicating with people. And a lot of times it is y'all fault for why dating apps don't work. It's not, it's not the other person.
Okay, we'll dive into it. And a final part of the dating data that Pew Research put out there is that stated that men felt they were less likely to receive messages, like women didn't approach them as much, whereas women on the flip side within the study said they felt that they got to the point where the messages were so much they felt harassed, or they had unsolicited, or very explicit content that they didn't want to deal with.
And you know what? I'm not going to disagree with this data at all, because we still live in a world where women are the prize and men are the hunters. And so men have, first of all, fellas, when you match with someone, send out a message immediately. Thank you for the match. How you doing? I'm excited to communicate with you. And the same for the ladies. Check your inbox. Just check your inbox. Just go into the inbox, send a message. Now, that's one of the reasons why I like Bumble, because Bumble forces the woman to send the message first to start the conversation, right? But then as a man on Bumble, you're not going to receive a lot. You will match with like 30 people. You're not going to receive no messages because sometimes they just don't send out messages. So I do not disagree with this data. However, what I will say to the men, when you do match with someone who's actually using the dating app for what they're supposed to be using it for, then those are the ones who's going to communicate with you anyway. So don't get frustrated when the person's not communicating with you. Obviously, they're not using the app for what they want to use it for. They're just there. You matched. Keep matching with other people. Don't focus and stay put on just one person that you match with. Keep going back to the swiping, because you're going to have to be swiping for months. And to the ladies, I'm not going to disagree that you're not going to get inundated with a lot of messages, but the moment that they send you something you don't like, if the first message they send you is, "Ooh, I love your body," or "Oh my God, I love these photos, you looking great in the basket of the sun," just go ahead and unmatch the person, because you already know what that person's looking for anyway. But you're going to receive a lot of messages. Just don't get so overwhelmed with it. Just filter through those messages. Who's sending you quality information, and the ones who aren't sending you quality information, delete them. Just unmatch with them, because you're going to have to unmatch with a lot of people.
I think that's true. All right. So we are talking about navigating the cyber dating world, aka dating apps. So in order to do that, there has to be, I would say, some type of rules of engagement. So let's talk about maybe dating etiquette. So what are some of the
Okay.
dating etiquette you share with people when you finally get them to put their toe into the digital dating world? What is some of the etiquette they should be using?
So when you have a dating app, make sure you have a bio. Do not put in your bio, I'm looking for a friend and that's it. Or I don't really get on here much, so inbox me if you want to know more. That grinds my gears so much. You need to have three things in your bio, three things that are so important. You have to answer these three important questions in your bio. Who are you? What are you looking for? And what do you not want? These three questions must be answered in your bio. So, step one, who are you? My name is, I work this, I do this for a living, I have these many kids, I love to travel, all the things that's about you. Part
Okay.
two, what are you looking for? My purpose on this dating app is I'm looking for someone to be in a relationship with long term with the purpose of looking for my life partner. Do not put in I'm looking for friends and we'll see where it go because that's a red flag. And if you see someone else saying that, I'm gonna tell you to swipe left because they don't know what they're looking for. Be specific on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a life partner, if you're looking to get married, put that. If you only want a relationship and you don't want to be married, put that. Whatever it is that you're really looking for, because one of the biggest myths, and we didn't talk about this, is that people always think that you shouldn't share specifically what you're looking for because they feel like it comes off too rushed. They be like, oh, well, don't say that you're looking for a wife because somebody may get turned off from that. That's good. You want people to be turned off because the ones who are turned off are the ones who didn't
Or not?
look for what you wanted in the first place.
Exactly.
So please put in that number two, what are you looking for? Now, number three is important, okay? Number three is the most important. What do you not want? All right. So at this moment, if you know you don't want to date nobody with more than two kids, if you don't want to date nobody who has young kids, if you don't want to date no one who doesn't respect women, if you don't want to date anyone who doesn't have the three C's, which everyone should have when they get on a dating app: car, career, and crib. Okay. If you know you don't, if you know that
Like
you want
that.
to date, thank you. If you only want to date somebody with the three C's, make sure you say if you don't have the three C's, swipe right because I'm not interested. If you can't read, swipe right. If the only time you go out is when you go to bars, swipe right. Whatever it is you don't want,
Oh,
make sure it is in the bio. Okay.
okay.
Proper dating etiquette. The number one thing is fill out everything on the profile. Don't half-ass it. Do not be lazy. Answer the prompts, answer all the questions, and make sure you have the bio. Now, here's the next step, okay? You done put out this nice bio, which should be longer than 200 characters. But here's the issue. Because when you sexy or you fine, people don't read your bio. I'm not gonna. In most cases, when you are very attractive, no one reads your bio. They just swipe immediately. They be like, "Oh my god, swipe." The only time someone's bio really get read is someone who's really, really interested in what they're looking for, or someone who's like, "I might like them. Let's see what the bio says." So, with that being said, when you do match with someone, let's talk about that first message that you send out to someone. The very first message. The first message that you should send should be, and it goes into steps, and I always forget how to explain it. So I'm gonna explain it the best way I can. The first one is the introduction. Hello, thank you for matching with me. My name is Torre, right? Then the second part is the if by chance did you get a chance to read my profile. Okay, make sure you remind them because you done filled out all that information and you don't want to have to answer those questions
Right.
when you match with them,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
you want to ask them, did you get a chance to read my bio? And then you follow up with at least the top two important things from your bio that you need to make sure they understand. So, for example, you'll say, hello, my name is My name is Maya. It's a pleasure to match with you today. Did you get a chance to read my bio? Because I need to make sure you understand I'm only on this app to find my husband, and I'm looking for someone who already have the 3 C's. If you don't match that, thank you for matching with me, but we can move on from this conversation. You need to set the standard from the beginning. As soon as you match with them, remind them, go to that bio, read what I wrote, let me know, do you match? Another dating etiquette, don't bring up sex. Don't bring up sex.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that should be like the furthest thing, like shouldn't even be in the initial conversation. Because to me,
it should not.
that first conversation sets the tone. So I feel like
it
if a
does.
person tries to engage you in sexual conversation and you reply, I feel like you've now opened the door.
You have, and I tell people, first of all, here's the thing: you're not going to get a quality conversation in the dating app at all. Period. Let's just dating apps is like, I want y'all to think about when you want to be a partner at a firm. Let's focus on partner at a firm, okay? And we're going to compare partner at the firm with finding your partner, finding your life partner, okay? When you submit your application to work at the job, that is the dating app profile. That's them reading the profile. And so when they go through the profile and they go through your resume, they're going to have some questions for you. And so when you match with them, the first interview is always that screener questions, right? It's not really in-depth questions. They call you and be like, hey, we just wanted to make sure that this was you and that, you know, we want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. That's the type of conversation dating apps is only going to provide you. Okay. So then now when they like what they hear, they like, okay, we're going to get you to the next interview. That's the date. That's you meeting the person in person.
So with that being said, because, you know, obviously I'm out of that realm, but it's evolved. It looks like some dating apps have tried to insert conversation like outside of just the messaging inside the app, like chat boxes or even like a call. So with that being said, are there some apps, for instance, some people, and I think I threw this out, and it's probably more of a myth, so I probably should hold it. No, I'll hold it. But is it okay to then have those conversations in the app if it isn't typing? Like, are you saying it needs to be a verbal conversation when you really
It needs to be verbal.
Okay.
It needs to be if the dating app allows for y'all to send voice messages to each other, now we can have a better in-depth conversation with each other. But at no time within the first month of us getting to know each other, should I be comfortable or you be comfortable with us trying to have a conversation about getting to know each other through text message. It just don't work. If I give you my phone number, I did not give you my phone number to text me a 16-page paragraph about how your past was and expect for us to have a genuine conversation about it. That whole idea of authenticity disappears when we start talking in person, when we have these live conversations.
Okay. So then it sounds like we're kind of moving into that next area about digital dating mistakes. So we kind of set up the etiquette like, look, you got to do these 3 things, know what you're looking for, prepare for those conversations. So what are some of the mistakes when people jumping on apps and trying to date? What are some of the mistakes that people make?
If you have a savior complex, you're gonna have to brace for impact. If you have a savior complex, you're gonna have to brace for impact. Okay. If you do not know what a savior complex is, a savior complex is when if someone's hurting, if something going wrong, you feel like you need to help. Like you feel like, oh my God, what can I do for you? And I'm speaking from experience here because what will happen, there are a lot of hackers on dating apps. There are a lot of scammers on dating apps, okay? And so one of the biggest mistakes is falling for these scammers, all right? And so let's talk about it. When you match with someone, and this has to go mostly to the fellas because this happens to the men more than the women. When you match with someone and they ask you in the first conversation about sending over some DoorDash or sending over some food, or maybe sending them $5 on Cash App, what they're doing is they're priming you to ask you for something bigger later. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's a rule here. Okay. If anyone asks you for anything tangible within the first month, delete them. I don't care how fine they look. I don't care how great the bio was. I don't listen, because first of all, when people are dating, they shouldn't be looking for help. They should already have help. They should be
There
able to
you go.
help themselves,
Say
right?
that again.
And
Say
so
that. Say that again. That right there. Say it again.
when you are looking to date, right, you should not be looking for help. No one should be looking for help when they're dating. They should be able to have the resources to help themselves. Both parties need to come healed and helped together. All right.
Mhm.
So when you match with someone on a dating app and they start asking you for $5 in the first day, they start asking you for money, just delete them. The next one, and fellas, I know this is gonna be hard. I know it's gonna be hard. If she start offering up her body on the first day, just go ahead and delete it. It's a fake profile. I'm telling you right now, I get it. That profile look good. She got her booty out and you interested. But if she start offering that body in the first conversation, if someone sends you their phone number as the first message, go ahead and
Yes.
delete it. It's an advertisement. It's an advertisement. They're trying to trick you. They want to text you and tell you how bad their day was. And then they're going to tell you, if the sentence comes out like, oh, I went to work and I left my lunch at home and I don't know what I'm going to do. And my wallet's in my car, but my friend has my car. I'm sorry, what? As an adult, it sounds like
Yes.
you weren't prepared. It's a
Yes.
red flag. So
Oh,
if you're not that
yes.
prepared, move on.
I agree with you on that because once upon a time when I was dating and I used dating apps, I do remember, I always thought it was funny that people would come across like with these sob stories. Like I am either, oh, the widow thing was huge. I am recently widowed and I have a young child. And it always felt like everybody's working in Africa. I was like, what's going on here?
Mhm,
It's like, to me,
mhm,
I was like,
mhm.
this is such, by the way, we can jump right into the dating red flags because I'm pretty sure the red flags combo with mistakes. But it always seems
Yes.
like you read it. It's like, really? You seem like, oh, so you, or their job is always, I work on an oil refinery down in the Gulf of Mexico. So they're not like accessible or they can't always chat with you. There's always things to me that seems like it's a red flag. Like if you're not available, then why are you dating?
Yes. Yes. Oh, and then I did remember one more mistake, but I'll mention it now before we go deep into red flags. Using only one dating app is a dating mistake.
Okay. Is it a dating
Um,
mistake? Okay.
It is a dating mistake. And the reason why I say that is because depending on what you're looking for, you need to kind of first of all, don't be in a rush when you're starting off with dating apps. Use more than one dating app and consistently keep swiping because you have to keep swiping. To find what you're looking for, you have to swipe over so many profiles because there's so many people who's not looking for what you want. And if you're not paying for the dating app service, because I'm gonna tell you right now, paying for a dating app service is a lot cheaper than going out to get a drink.
You
Because
know something? I was going to throw that at you because a lot of people will not actually want to like join apps because of the cost. But I always look at
yeah,
that and say, but if you compare to what you probably spend when you just go hang out with your friends, I guarantee
yes,
you probably paid for at
yes.
least two of those apps, at least for a month each.
I'll break that part down. So first of all, you're supposed to use at least 4 dating apps for at least 3 weeks straight and find out which one gets you your best matches. And whichever one gets you your best matches and your good results, that's the one that you pay for. Okay. So because I don't want no one thinking, oh my God, I got to pay for 4 or 5 dating apps. No, no, no. Use 4 dating apps for at least 4 months. I mean, for 4 weeks. Find out which one works best, what gives you the best results, what's giving you people that's giving you conversation, and pay for that dating app. Okay. Now, once you do decide that you want to pay for a dating app, I need you to think about this. So let's focus on BLK because BLK you can get for like $70 a month and you can get all access pass to it, or Hinge $70 a month, all access pass. If you go to the bar, all right, and you buy a drink for yourself, that's already $20. You just spent $5 getting to the bar. And depending on which bar you went to, you probably had to pay for parking. So now we already at 30. Now you have to buy a drink for whoever you see. That's another $15 for that. And that's 45. And this is only one person, I may add. This is only one person. And we're not just having a one drink conversation. We're having about a 2-drink conversation. You already spent about $90 at the bar, especially if you're getting food. Now, let's take it a step further. Let's say, for instance, you go to a bar and you get 5 people phone numbers and you didn't even buy a drink. Let's say, for instance, you're one of them people where you like, I don't even have to buy a drink. I can just go in and I can get people phone numbers. Okay, but when you get their phone numbers, you still got to pay for the date. And when you go out on this date, you spending about $80 to $100 on just one person, right? And then if this person isn't who you're looking for, you done just wasted $100. But now when you spend $70 on a dating app, you can match with over 2,000 people a week. You can swipe over about 4,000 profiles in a week if you wanted to, and you can zoom in directly to what you're looking for, especially if you use apps like Hinge, because Hinge even breaks it down based off of ethnicity. Because like Tinder is a very white app. Okay, it's a very white app. There are Black people on there, but it's a white app. And even if you pay for Tinder, you can't tell it, show me Black people profiles. And so in finding, no, you cannot.
That could be a preference. So how do they not have that?
Tinder does not allow race as a preference to look for. They go off of age, location, and interest, but they do not break it down by race.
Do they put gender?
Hinge does, though.
No, but do they allow you to pick gender? Because I've had some conversations.
Gender, yes.
Okay, so they do let you choose gender.
They do let you. Yes, they do let you choose gender, but not by race. But Hinge allows to race. And so, if you are a person who are very descriptive on the race that you're looking for, you wouldn't pay for Tinder. You would pay for something like Hinge, because then you could break it down that way, right? And so, once you do that, you get people's phone numbers. Now you will have a better opportunity of finding a more quality date, spending money on the app, than you would spending money to go out to bars or going out to meet people. And I'm not saying that it's still not a good idea to go out and meet people in person. I'm just saying you get more bang for your buck with the dating app.
Okay, so before some good myths, some mistakes. I was going to ask questions, but I feel like they're myth questions. So I'm going to hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go.
But wait, before we jump on, this sounds like a really good transition to talk about, hey, but if you're itching to get out and you want to meet people, guess what's coming up on Monday?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Which is every second Monday of the month. Is this April 30th, 8 p.m. to midnight. It's at Park Manor 75. Address is there. This is an opportunity to get out there and to mix and mingle if you want to put your toe in the water and you're looking for that face-to-face. So tell me a bit about this event, what made you bring it into existence, and tell us all the kind of details. If someone thinks maybe I should think about doing this, what should they expect?
So for Mix and Mingle, I tell people, do not expect to find your life partner, husband, wife here, okay? Mix and Mingle is a practice scenario event. If you are terrified of talking to strangers, if you do not have enough practice making friends, because a lot of us don't, I imagine that a lot of people probably only have a circle between 5 to 20 friends and have probably had that 5 to 20 friends for years. And I say this all the time loudly. I feel like that sets us back so far and intelligent wise, because the more people you learn and the more people you make friends with, the more you learn in this world. And so Mix and Mingle is a space where you can come and practice talking to strangers. The whole is set up like a speed dating event, but you're dating and talking to different people that you wouldn't regularly talk to on a regular basis. And you're making friends, because now with this much exposure and experience, if you do 2 Mix and Mingle events, I guarantee you will be more confident to talk to someone you're attracted to when you see them walking down the street. I can guarantee you that. You only need 2 Mix and Mingles for that.
Okay. So there you go. So everybody's who's kind of clamoring to have that experience to get out there. There you go. So I'm going to get out there to test your in-person dating skills, and it doesn't cost you a thing. So you can't beat that, to be able to get out there and to kind of see how well you're doing with dating, especially if you feel rusty, let's say you were in a long-term relationship and you've been out for a while and not dated, this might be something that could be good to kind of help you get your feet wet again, to kind of rebuild your dating confidence, because confidence is required, people, by the way, when we talk about dating,
Hmm.
because the lack thereof usually creates a problem. All right.
A
We talked
lot.
about dating etiquette and mistakes. Let's talk about the dating red flags, because I
Mm.
feel a lot of people, let me tell you something, Torre, there are so many red flags that people acknowledge, well, not acknowledge, even when they meet people in person. So, what would
Hmm.
you say if you had to rank based on you hearing people that come to you and work with you to kind of get their dating game up? What would you say is the number one red flag that people tend to ignore?
Let's say not no. One of the biggest red flags that people run into that they ignore is matching with someone that just because they're attractive and ignoring the fact that the person don't want the same thing they want. They just assume, well, eventually you're going to want me as long as we get to know each other. So let me just go through it anyway. There has been so many times where someone has matched with someone and said, well, I'm looking for something serious. And the other person's like, well, I really don't know what I want, but I'm just going to go with the flow. That does not mean that they want the same thing as you. But because you like the person, they're attractive, they seem to have their head together, we want to ignore it and be like, well, maybe eventually they'll learn to like me and maybe eventually they'll want the same thing that I want.
Yeah.
We don't
Okay.
don't do that. It's and one of the biggest mistakes that lead to a red flag is not asking the right questions.
Okay. So we have like a nice little exercise here that I love that you shared this, because these people are probably having these conversations all the time. And I like that you shared, here's some red flags when you're in that text conversation with people. So
Yeah.
let's I kind of broke these down by like some different things. So there was this one, I'm going to start with the mental health one because I felt like this was a good one right here, where there was
Mhm.
conversation here about mental health. Oh, that's a good question. Kind of talk a bit about this particular like response that was maybe put out there by somebody.
So, so this person in particular, the person that's sending out the message to the potential match finds mental health to be a very important thing for her, and she wants someone who is seeking therapy or know what therapy is and know how to get outside help. And so I taught her, okay, well, make sure when you match with someone that that is one of your screener questions, because once again, when you're on dating apps, it's a screener. It's the
Mhm.
same thing like when you screening for a job. The dating app conversations is nothing more than a screener to find out should they be on a phone conversation. And so here we're asking the person how what is important, what does mental health mean to you? And the person's first response was mental health? That's a good question. Oh, okay. But then tell us more about mental health. And the person said, nothing, I just pray. Okay. So at this moment, if you know, because I listen, I have nothing against different religions, y'all. I have nothing against different religions, but I have a family of my own who pray all the time and they still need therapy. Okay. I got a grandmama who talks to God on a daily basis, at least 3 times, and she still need a therapist. Okay. So when someone tells me that the only thing they do for their mental health is they pray, nah, I'm telling you now, that is a walking time bomb waiting to happen. Okay, that is a red flag. And at this point, you got two decisions to make: unmatch with them or stay matching and stay having the conversation. Because you can even go deeper and say, you can even ask, well, are you willing to seek out? You can go deeper into the conversation and questions, right? But then
Mhm.
once again, do you want to match with someone who's already not equally yoked in mental health as you are? If
Mhm.
you already know how deep you are with it and how helpful it's been to your mental health, do you really want to date someone who's still in the beginning stages?
There
That's
you
just
go.
like if you
Mhm.
have already made your millions, do you want to date someone who's still getting a loan to purchase a $5,000 car when you have already done all of that years ago? Let's not put ourselves in that position.
And if you guys listen to the first episode that Tori and I did together, we talked about understanding what it is that you need, what your goals are. And you should be finding people that match those goals, not the opposite
Yeah.
way around. So if you missed
Yeah.
that episode, I'm going to tell you, it laid the foundation for what we're talking about. Okay, so this person put out their mental health. Sounds like, I'm going to say that answer wouldn't have worked for me either. And I don't know that I would have actually tried to pull teeth to get more. Okay, then there was this one about flaws. I love this. Morning life partner is someone that is equally yoked. They talked about, obviously, we'll get into that in a bit. But the person then asked, well, when you say flaws, and what do you mean? And what does marriage look like for you? And then that response is like someone that loves unconditionally, we human and make mistakes. Okay.
Woo!
What do you do with it?
Oh,
Coach
girl,
Love is not
that
enough. What do you
when
do
I
with that?
when I read this, I sent her a message and was like, run. Because usually my clients, they will screenshot and send it to me and they will ask, what should I ask next?
Mhm.
And so she sent this to me and was like, what should I ask next? And I sent her emojis, run, 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 run. It was like all the running emojis. Let me explain something to y'all. Let's talk about unconditional love, y'all. Okay. Now here, you can love someone unconditionally. Okay. You can, but it doesn't mean you need to be with that person because of unconditional love. Okay. Because all love, no matter what someone says, all love has some type of condition. Okay. If I'm in
Terms
love,
and conditions. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
if I'm in love with you and you set my house on fire, steal all my money from my bank account, call my job and tell them how horrible a person I am and get me fired, at this point, unconditional love doesn't keep my disdain of you any different. Okay. And so when someone's asking in the very beginning, before I even loved you, that they're looking for unconditional love, the fact that you say, we humans and we make mistakes, this person is saying, you're going to have to take me for who I am. I am not changing and I will make mistakes in the future. You're going to have to deal with it. Let me tell y'all something, y'all. That is a form of manipulation. It is a form of manipulation. It's a form of manipulation to ask someone to be with them unconditionally, no matter what. No, just because I love you don't mean that we need to be together. Let me say that again, okay? Just because I love you does not mean we need to be together.
Yeah. And you know something that I say to people, and you and I kind of touched on this a bit. Language is really big in important conversations. And I tell people, never make the assumption that you use a word and you assume the person you're talking to has the same meaning. I use like the word like respect. I always ask people, define what respect means to you, because what respect might mean to me may not be the same for you. And hence, when somebody says unconditional love, what exactly does that mean? And what are they
Yes,
expecting or anticipating from you? Because you may not be able to deliver what they think unconditional love is.
absolutely. And it's that is a very great point. Very great point. Because a lot of times what a banana means to me is different than what a banana looks like for you. And just because I'm telling you what I want, it is always, always important to push a clarification. What does marriage mean for you? What does a solidified relationship mean to you? Because what one person sees as a relationship, another person looks at and says, oh no, that's just dating exclusively. What do you mean? What does dating exclusively mean?
Oh, and if you don't know, you need to go back and listen to the last episode. We broke that down. By the way, a lot of people that I talked to after, they struggled with that big time. They really struggled
Did
with
they?
that idea. They did. They were like, I just never looked at it that way. I said, well, are you rethinking? Are you reframing? Because, you talk about not having success. Now think about what you were doing. And a lot of people are starting to reframe their thinking. With that being said, the last episode was fantastic. And what we wanted to do was be able to provide people the opportunity to work with Coach Love. So guess what? If you're listening to this episode, you can get some work done. You can invest in the relationship you want. You can see Coach Love Isn't Enough because we have a dating discount exclusively for my Maya listeners. You can get 4 sessions, a coaching package, $60 per session. You're saving big time money. You can learn to strengthen connections, navigate challenges, build lasting foundations, or here's one better. Try to figure out what you are not doing right for you to find that person that you want. It starts with a consultation. You just go, you can email info@coachloveisntenough.com, or even go to the website, because there is actually a form you can fill out, and you just probably put into that message box, hey, I'm a Maya listener, and they'll know exactly who you are. I'm going to tell you something. Do a dating checkup from the neck up, because the issue is a lot of people are doing stuff from the neck down and not doing it from the neck up, and they wonder why they're not achieving the success or happiness they're looking for in partners. Okay, let's continue on with those those dating red flags that I think a lot of people are not picking up on, especially in conversations. Here's one. What are you looking for? Obviously, when you talk about a wife, kind of explain the person when they sent this to you. What was the backdrop on this one?
So yeah, well, this person that in particular always had an issue running into people who's not looking for the same thing that they're looking for. And so I told them, when you match with people, ask them, what are you looking for out of a wife? What does that mean? Right. And so this person's saying, so you are actively looking for a wife, or are you just seeing where things can go? And this person's response, automatic red flag. We need to talk about why this is red flag, because I'm putting it in God's hands that the one I'm spending time with will be my wife. So automatically, what this person is telling me is that themselves don't know what they're looking for, and that they're just going to wait until the universe make it make sense. That is what they're saying. I want to make sure that we break that down, because that's not saying that I'm a responsible adult and know what I'm looking for. That says I really don't know what I want, but I know that when it pops up, the God is going to tell me that's who it is. And so when she sent me that, I said, hey, you know what? Give him a chance to go deeper in explaining that. So she asked, how will you know that someone is your wife? And the person doubled down. As I said, from time with quality company and conversation. No, because that doesn't tell. Listen, this is someone who will probably be a serial dater, who will continue dating multiple people, and even will try to have you date them exclusively while they date multiple people, and then will tell you, well, I told you, I'm putting it in God's hands, and I'm waiting for God to tell me when things are right. And I try not to say that religion is a red flag, but when someone uses religion so much, it is something you should question. I would never I will never say religion's a red flag.
Well, it isn't, but because I think it can be a beautiful thing. But I also, when people say I'm gonna put in God's hands, I say, what's that look like? Because last time I checked, God gave you skill sets and a mind and free will, and the idea of some work behind it. I feel like when people say that, they plan on putting no work into something, they think something magically is going to happen. And I was like,
and I was just going to pinpoint that laziness.
Yeah, what God has put in front of you, the tools might be right in front of you, and you're the person not picking them up. So when people say that, and my next question might be like, oh, so you must go to church every Sunday, since you're talking about God so strong. And God forbid if they didn't say they do, because then I'd be like, so you don't even go to church every Sunday, but you are talking about like God is, you're so invested in the light and the way of God based on how this person's talking. I would think they go to church every Sunday. Seriously.
I had it, and I always compared this to my experience at work, because there was a coworker I had who always talked about how they wanted to get promoted, they want to get paid more money, but they always would say, "I'm gonna put it in God's hands. I'm gonna let God give me more money. I'm gonna let God do it." And that person never got promoted because they never put forth the work themselves. That person assumed someone was going to come to him and tell him, you've been doing such a great job that we're going to promote you. That was his mindset, because he kept saying, I'm gonna put it in God's hands. And I had to have a conversation with him. I said, yo, God helped you along the way and gave you this experience, but God gave you a mouth and a voice so that you can speak on your behalf of what you're looking for. And then once he went and became vocal and was like, okay, I want to get promoted, within 3 months, he got promoted. Now, of course, he went back to saying, thank God, God did it for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just let you have that.
I'm going to tell you why I would go along with that, Torre, because I'd be like, you're right, because God told me to tell you that you need to open your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed. So you see how that
And
worked out?
listen,
God puts
yeah,
tools and people in your life, and it's what you do with it. So whenever people try to
yeah.
throw that out there, I was like, have you looked around? Are you reading the messages between the lines of maybe that what God is trying to tell you something, but you're missing because you're being passive? What about this one? Because this might be a combo. Coming back from
Woo.
work, and there was a thing about coming back home from work to wine. I think a person was talking about what are you looking for from this app? That seemed to be a number one question that people ask. What are you looking for here? And we kind of touched on this a bit. Tell me what's wrong with this answer this person gave.
All right, so let's go straight into the answer. To be honest with you, I'm not looking for anything at the moment. Listen, at this point, this person has been completely honest with you, okay? They are letting you know I'm not looking for anything. And if you are also not looking for anything and you're just trying to see where things go, this may be the best person to be friends with. But
Yes.
if you like, I know I want a committed partner now, not next month, this ain't working. I'm just waiting on that special someone to find me. Once again, lazy, and this is counter productive here, because on one end we're saying I'm not looking for anything, but on the other end I'm still here to be found though if somebody finds me, because so that person really is looking. They're just lazy and don't want to put in the work. But let's go further. But we can spend some time together. We can get to know each other, and let's see if we vibe, have a connection, or have something in common, and see where it goes. And if it leads to something more, I won't deny my feelings. Let me tell y'all something. This was a great way of saying I'm just looking for someone to have sex with. This was a very intelligent way of saying I am just looking for someone to have sex with. And if things go to a great pasture after our sexual relationship, then I'm not going to be one to deny my feelings. But I guarantee you, this person is going to take you out on a date and ask, can you come back home with them? Automatically is going to ask you, do you want to come back home with me after the date?
And actually,
this person,
there sounds like there's a lot of
no,
conflicted messages just in this one statement right there. Like they said
absolutely.
opposite. They started one thing, it ended it a whole nother way.
Absolutely. So, and at that point, that already tells you this person's using a date. This person doesn't know how to effectively use dating apps. This person doesn't really want a serious relationship right now. They're just using it either out of boredom, or they're just finding a way, and they don't want to come off as, well, I don't want people to think I'm only looking for ass. And let me tell y'all something, y'all. Let me tell y'all something about looking for ass, okay? And I'm going to be really honest with y'all about when it comes to looking for ass. If you are only looking for ass, just say it. You will be so surprised how things will go for you if you are truly honest. Because here's the thing, there are people who are only using dating apps just to look for some ass. That's it. That's all they're using it for. And there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it, because you can use dating apps for whatever you're looking for. But if you are just looking for some ass, fellas, just say it.
I'm gonna throw something a layer on top of that though. That once upon a time when I was dating, and I paid attention to what people would say. Mind you, that was my inner therapist. Like, what? And this is actually probably before I was actually a therapist. It was like my 20s, so to speak. But it was interesting because people would say things like, well, I'm looking to date, not necessarily be in a relationship. They were totally okay as if they could make time to have sex, but anything else they couldn't make time for. But they tried to dress it up like I'm so busy because, I'm a single dad or this or that. So hence I don't have the time. And in my mind, I was like, you full of it. You trying to tell me
But you got time to get a hotel room.
But bingo. And here's the thing I think people need to think about. It may sound cliche, but I believe it 100%. And it might be a dating myth, but I'm going to say it right here. People make time for what they want to make time for. And if a person is really into you, this is how you know a person is not into you. They will not make the time to spend with you. So why people will take that line like, I'm so busy, I'm so that. But when you do meet, they're always trying to get something from you. That should be a red flag, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, if they tell you that they're too busy, then ask them, why did they get on dating apps in the first place? What are they truly looking for? Because if you that busy, why are you? Listen, me and my wife had a conversation, because when me and my wife first met, I had a job that required me to work 65 hours a week. 65 hours a week, 6 days out of the week, I'm working. Okay. And me and my wife had a conversation because I only stayed at that job for the first 8 months to a year and a half of us being together. And we talk about it to this day. And she says, if you would have stayed at that job, I don't know if we would have been together because you didn't have time for the relationship you was looking for. That's the key point there. I didn't have time for what I was looking for. And if you are someone who is married to your job, then date at work. Date at work.
No,
No, like date workers.
Date your
not
work.
act
Your
like
job.
date your work. Date
Okay.
someone who's also working. So like if you're a doctor, you don't want to date no one who's only working a 9 to 5. They're gonna complain about your busy schedule. Find someone who's actually doing the same work that you're doing because now y'all have a better understanding, right?
Well,
If you
yeah. And I think the other piece is that on an individual basis that people should consider, if you don't have the time, don't date. Because what are you
absolutely.
dating again though, but what are you dating for? So if you're just dating because you want a friends with benefits, I guess that's one thing. But if you're trying to tell
Mhm.
yourself you really want a true authentic relationship with somebody, well, it's no different than the same time and effort you put into your job or anything else. Why do you think you don't have to put that effort into dating? It doesn't make any
Dating
sense.
is a job. It finding a partner is a job. Just like how we said, when you submit your resume, that's you swiping on the dating apps. When you have your first screener call, that is you communicating through the dating apps. When you go in for your interview, that is the date. And sometimes you have 2, 3, 4, or 5 interviews before you get the job that you're looking for, right? Once you
Yes.
get the job, that's the relationship. And
Okay.
remember, when you do have a job, you have to have those 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month conversations with your manager to talk about how the job is doing. Where are you going in the future? Where do you see yourself? Those are your check-ins in the relationship. Now, when you get promoted to manager, that's you moving up to being the fiance in the relationship. That's saying, okay, now we're working on the future goals. Now, when you become president, now we are partners. We are married. It is a process to
Yes.
getting there.
This next one is a good one. And I want to segue this next red flag in a text conversation because when
Mm-hmm.
you talk about, I like that you talk about dating is like a job. Because I always say if we put the time and energy like we do into jobs and investing money into like our relationships, we get a better return on investment. I would say the same thing. A red flag would be anybody who's trying to step to you like, oh my God, heaven, you just fell out the sky, you an angel, you're the one for me, I want you. That love bombing stuff right there in the beginning to me is a red flag. But let's talk about the life partner because this person was working the angle of, oh, I want a life partner. And this person finally asked them, well, what do you mean by life partner? Because that doesn't mean marriage
Mm-hmm.
necessarily.
It does not. And so the person asks, what does that structure looks like? Hello, life partner means a best friend and a lover who are able to build together and keep choosing each other daily. I follow the biblical understanding of marriage, and I only date women who understand their role in
Drop.
their man's life. I know my role as a provider and protector. See, so the first part of this wasn't so red flaggish because y'all can have a conversation about this, right? You can say, I like the fact, life partner means we can build together. We're choosing each other daily. Great. I'm going to
Right.
ask a little more questions on what do you mean
Mhm.
by choosing each other daily, right?
Right.
But once we get to this, I follow the biblical understanding of marriage. Let me explain something to y'all. When anyone tells you that they follow the Bible in marriage, I always remember about slavery in the Bible and how it used to say, obey your master. And the book wasn't written by women. So when we start talking about the biblical understanding of marriage, it sounds a little slavish to me. Okay. But I'm not one to talk about people's religion. So let's go further. I only date women who understand their role.
Know your role, jabroni. What in God's name
What
is that?
role?
What role is
What
that?
role? What role are we talking about? What role do this follow-up question should be what do you and I tell women this
I
all the
think I know
time,
what the
okay?
role is. Think about it. Think about it, Torre. Read it. It says,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
know my
And
role is to provide and protect. So I'm going to tell you, this is that trad wife conversation right here. Trad wife, for anybody who didn't hear this earlier, it's the word traditional just broken down. So the little act, it's called trad wife. And it's a big trending conversation. Like, ladies, if a man wants a trad wife, are you up for that? Are you going to do it? Which means know your role. You're going to be maybe okay with staying at home, not working. He might have to define what that means. Having kids, cook, clean. He's the lead, you're the follow, and you need to be good with that. That's what that
And
means.
whatever I say, that's the word. That's the law. If I say it, it's law, because I'm the king of the castle, king of the household. Ladies, run from that, especially if you are a modern dating person. Run from that, because no. And ask that, and always ask when someone says something like this, what do you mean by roles? What aspects are you looking for? The first top wasn't the red flag, but that bottom part automatically. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. This question always leads me to the reason why I tell ladies that you should ask one specific question that's so important. And I compare it to when you're dating outside of your race. When, as a Black person, when you are dating someone white, you should always ask, what do you know about Black struggles in America? What do you know about people being Black? What do you know about Black Lives Matter? What do you know about Black issues, right? You have, because you can't just, and there's nothing wrong with interracial dating, but you want to date someone who understands where you're coming from, because when something like a George Floyd happened and y'all are both watching it on the news at the same time, and now you have to have a conversation, you want to make sure the person that you are creating as your life partner understands why it's a problem. You're talking about having children with someone who, if they don't understand what it means to be a Black person in the world, how are they going to understand the problems of your Black child? And so, as a woman, always ask, what do you know about women's rights in America? What do you know about women's issues in America? What do you know about women's problems in general? Because if the man don't understand that, how can he truly protect you from the world that you live in? Most men don't even understand that when a woman walks down the street in daylight, even surrounded by people, she still needs to watch all of her surroundings. We don't have to do that as men. We're not walking down the street thinking about the alley that we have to cross. But once that woman sees that alley, she's thinking of everything. Who's in the alley? What could be happening in the alley? Where is my lock at? Do I have my pepper spray? What do I need to protect myself? And if we don't recognize that world, one, how can we create a safer space for our child when we have a daughter? But how can we create that safe space for our partner? And so it's very important to ask that question.
That's very true. So that response to that particular question, that person talking about life partner, and they gave this description, knowing your role. So the person proceeded to say, you know, they date with purpose and they want to find a husband. How do you know when you found your life partner? And they gave an affirmation. Oh, sounds good what you said. I'll feel it. Now, mind you, this is a person who just said, God's going to send it. Okay, a lot of mixed messages here from this person about understanding when they know they've met their person.
Run from this, because I feel it means they want you to put on a show and to be wifey material before being a wife. That's what, and remember, it's unfortunate that we live in a society that still thinks that men choose who they marry and women choose who they sleep with. That's not the case no more. We don't live in that world no more. We're slowly transitioning away from that. And so you are going to run into some men who want you to be wife performative. This answer here sounds like he's looking for someone to be wife performative. I'll just feel it when I know it. I really couldn't tell you what I'm looking for out of a wife. And then at that point, that's even a red flag, because how do you not know how is it that you, because for me, I can say it. Someone who not only understands love, but someone who loves mental health, who loves themselves, someone who's going to travel all the time with me, who loves for me to travel by myself. That was one of the first things I said to my wife when I met her. I said, are you okay dating someone who travels by themselves? Because if you're not okay with that, I need to move on, because I love solo vacations. I will not cheat on myself. right? And so when I talk about looking for a partner, I know I found my partner when my partner understands what that means for me, right? Like that's an answer.
That's
But
an
when
answer.
someone responds and they say, I'll just know when I know, or God will tell me, or I'll just feel it in my left butt cheek. Nah, just leave that person alone. It's a red flag.
It's a red flag. All right. Well, let's talk about, as we wrap it up and wind down, some dating myths, because there's plenty out there that can you definitely, like, kind of run with. So let's talk about mm, a dating myth. We already kind of debunked the idea about, you should be on more than one app, because committing to one app probably is going to limit what you're doing. So
A
I'll kind of
lot.
go with some of like those basic things, like, is it a dating myth that that first date should really be more structured? Like, you meet someplace, they don't pick you up, safety first. Is that kind of a myth? Like, no, you could. Once upon a time, people could pick you up for a date. Not so much, or you probably could, but
They should have
what's your
never
thoughts
been
on that?
picking people. They should have never been picking people up for dates until they get to know them. Let's get the first date out the way before we give out our home address. Okay. In most cases, if you are going to have them pick you up, take a Uber somewhere that's not at your house. Like go somewhere else. Like if there's a coffee shop down the street from you, have them pick you up from the coffee shop and drop you back off at the coffee shop. They don't have to come to your house. They don't, and especially because if I pick you up from your house, I'm gonna think, oh well, since I'm bringing you back home, there might be an opportunity where you might invite me in. No, 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 no. Let's just nip that in the bud, especially on the first date of meeting someone on a dating app. It needs to be something low key, nothing expensive. It could be us going to a billard to play pool. It could be us going to get a drink or getting a small bite to eat. And especially for the fellas who complain that they keep running into people who always wants them for their money. I'm gonna tell you right now, if and sometimes it's our fault. I had to learn this the hard way, because if you're one of the type of fellas who introduce yourself by saying, yeah, my name is Torre, I got 3 jobs, I have my own house, I don't have any children, I got 2 cars in the garage, I travel every 3 months, I go international trips. You didn't have to say, I will pay your bills, for somebody else to listen to that and say, ooh, he might pay my bills. Right. And then you wanted to go out on the first date and be like, let me take you to Fogo de Chao. What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't get tricked at the fact that the person looks good. Then you don't have to spend that much money on the first date. Do something light. Go on a pottery making class, or do like a paint and sip or something. Something small, low key. Never the movies. Never the movies.
Yeah.
Never the movies. The movies is not a date. It was cute when we were 16. It was cute when we were 16. The movies is not a date anymore. Oh my God. I remember when movies used to be $3 in the morning. I don't know why that just popped in.
Those days are long gone. All right.
Long
What
gone.
about? So you kind of said something. So if a man asks you to either pay for the date or split the date, that's probably going to set the tone on what kind of partner he will be.
Oh, if you paying for the date, that's your friend. That's your friend. That's who that is. That's your friend. That's not somebody you dating to be with. That's just your friend. Now if y'all had that conversation beforehand where he's like, oh, I'm not doing so good right now, which then again, why are you dating? And dating costs money, and dating does cost more money on the man than it does the woman, right? But ladies, don't pay for the first date. Now if you want to pay for the second or third one, that's up to you. But the first date, y'all getting to know each other, no. If that man wants you to pay for the date, y'all friends. That's all y'all are. Y'all are platonic friends, and y'all are just getting to know each other. And
Okay.
you can definitely put that person straight in the friend zone.
What about the idea? I've heard people say, I don't like when somebody uses WhatsApp opposed to truly give me their number. Is that a red flag that that person may not be trustworthy, or are they just being a bit more mindful about not giving everyone their number?
WhatsApp also still uses the phone number, don't it? Are you able to change
I
WhatsApp
don't,
into a different?
I don't know, but
I
people
think
complain about it.
WhatsApp.
I know you
Okay,
use your
so
number, but I'm not sure if it creates a different number to give to you. But I've just had some people kind of say they don't like when people use WhatsApp because they feel like they're up to like no good because they just
now
can't give me the
I
number.
I tell people, I honestly coach my people to use text now, Google Voice when giving out your number, because you can't just trust people with your real phone number. I wouldn't even say to use WhatsApp. I would say use Google Voice and text now. And if a person feels a certain type of way because you didn't give them their real phone number and they leave because of it, then so what? Because your safety is more important than someone else's comfort. And if they are that pissed off about it, it's because they wanted it for a malicious reason in the first place. Because someone who truly wants you and wants to be, they're not going to care. They're going to be like, okay, I get it. You want, and once again, especially when we talk about dating someone who understands the world that you live in, right? A man that you dating should understand how unsafe it is as a woman to be in this world. And if he complains about your safeguards for safety, it's probably because he's upset that you have safeguards for your safety, right? That's just like if you out and you put on the helmet because you don't want to get punched in the face, and the person that you with is like, why you have that on? I'm not going to fucking punch you in the face. Probably they want to punch you in the face. They're probably upset that that safeguard is there. Now, if they laugh and just be like, that's silly, I don't know why it's up there, and then they, they're gonna joke about it. But no one should get upset with what your safeguard is. And if you have a safeguard and they upset about it, let it go. Talk to someone who understands more clearly.
Okay. Any specific dating myths that are out there you think that people need to debunk to kind of feel a bit more comfortable for those that are apprehensive to want to do it? Any kind of things you'll say, look, this is a myth. This is what it really is.
One myth that I want to debunk right now is that everybody on dating apps is looking for sex. That is not true. But yes, a lot of people on dating apps is looking for sex. That's just like how, okay, so when I first started using dating apps, I kept matching with people that wanted to ask me for money. There was this one person who I matched with her. We went out on a date the same day that we matched because I was being very tentative with my words. I was like, listen, I'm only on here looking for someone I could date. I'm looking for someone who I could be with in a relationship. Do you want to go out today? We can go out and go to a coffee. We went out the same day we matched, which dangerous, but I did it anyway. Then once I dropped her off at home and I was driving home, she called me 20 minutes after I dropped her off and asked to borrow $800 to pay her rent. So yes, was like, I don't usually do this, but if it's possible, can I borrow $800 so I could pay my rent? Well, she didn't like my answer because my answer was, well, can I get a key for the month that I'm paying? And can you make me breakfast, lunch, and dinner for every day of that month? Because I don't see me getting my money back. So I might as well get something out of this. You know what I mean? And she was like, no, you can't come in my house. And I was like, well, nope, sorry. If I can't come in the house, I'm not paying your rent. That makes no sense, right? And so I had to notice that a lot of the people I was matching with, I was ignoring red flags, but I was also understanding what I was saying that was contributing to the fact that people kept asking me for money. And so when it comes to the idea that you think that people are only looking for sex, look for the red flags and don't ignore it, but then also look at what are you posting. I had one client who every picture, titties and thighs out. Every picture, titties out, thighs out. Just titty meat, thigh meat out in every picture, and be confused and talk about every time I match with someone, all they want to talk about is meeting up and having sex.
Well, yeah.
Have you seen your photos? Advertising is important.
Yes, it is. And this is why I'm glad you look at your people's profiles to kind of get a heads up about, well, let's see what you're putting out there to see why you're getting like the people back that you are. So speaking of that, remember, everybody, I said, this is an opportunity for you to really up your dating game. You can actually meet with Coach LoveIsntEnough. You can book a consultation and talk to him about what's going on and like, hey, I think I could do some better work. Maybe I am approaching this wrong. So we have a Maya listener special. You can get 4 coaching sessions for $60 per session. Trust me, you're saving money to really retool the way you're focusing on how you're dating or how you're even moving in relationships. Because I do feel a lot of times, Torre, that when people actually start dating, they get so enamored with the person that they're with. We know everybody's representative shows up. We talk about that. but no one's asking the right questions to figure out if this person is really a good fit for them. So this whole tread wife thing that I saw in these conversations, I was like, boy, my age is really showing. I said, because this is common sense to me. If you look at me, look, I'm gonna tell you, I was a person that could get dumped real quick when I was dating. Because one, I flat out be like, I don't cook. I'm allergic to pots and pans. So really, if you're looking for a woman that you want her to cook because food is the way to your heart, I'm probably not the right person for you because I don't like cooking and I'm not going to turn into somebody that I'm not to just get you to like me. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
people, one, don't even know what they're looking for truly in a partner that matches their energy and their relationship goals. So I feel like people need to meet with you. I feel like before people really jump into dating, they should really do a checkup for the neck up. Are you really mentally and emotionally ready to date? Here's something I said to somebody, and you know what she said to me? I don't, I don't,
What?
I don't think I can date. I said, it isn't really about the financial piece. At this some point, a lot of women are self-sufficient, and I wanted people to get past the idea of independent woman. That's overrated. Women still want to be cared and loved. Just because I got a job and can take care of myself does not mean I'm like fiercely independent. By the way, I am. But with that being said, I'm looking for someone that can do the thing that nobody has done until I got to my husband. Take care of my heart. That's the difference. And that's a hard task to tell somebody. I'm looking for somebody who is emotionally and mentally responsible. Oh, but one better is available. And that's been the thing I've been struggling with. Knowing how to see if people are emotionally and mentally available. Most people don't even pay attention to that. And they wonder why they epically fail all the time at dating because you went after a person who really wasn't emotionally available in the first place.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And a lot of times, people, if you want to know if someone is emotionally available already, just ask them about their past. Ask them about their past. Ask them what does marriage look like to them? Usually, they answer their questions in it because their fears will come up. Oh well, a lot of times I ask people, "What are your marriage goals?" And usually the same answer is someone I can love, someone that I could be partners with. Okay, but what are your marriage goals? What do you want to actually accomplish? What do you want to do? Oh
Yes.
well, I want to meet someone first, and then we'll see where it go. Okay, no, you're not. You're not ready because you should have the plan first, and then already be looking for the person that matched the plan. Not I'm gonna just aimlessly look for someone and then we'll just see where it go. No, that person isn't ready yet. That person
Well,
isn't
yes.
there yet.
I believe that a lot of people do what I would say they date backwards. They don't have goals set up. They find a person and then want to see if their goals apply versus you got the goals and you find a person that you can apply. People, I think, are doing it very backwards. They don't even know what they want for themselves individually. Hence, they've really not thought about even having relationship goals in that way. So, with this being said, we're going to wrap up, but I got to bring it up again. If you're looking to kind of kick the tires, get out there, and you happen to be in the Chicagoland area, then guess what? You have an opportunity on Monday to get out there and to mix and mingle because Coach Love
Yeah.
is in has this free event every second Monday of the month. So this Monday's coming up. It's from 8 p.m. to midnight. It's at Park Manor 75. My city people probably know where this is, 600 East 75th Street. You can get out there and truly see what's out there and how you think you're moving and get some vibes. And of course, Coach Love will be there. And by the way, people, I plan on being there as well, just to peep out this, see what you people are out there doing, because I want to see how people are moving.
Yeah.
I want to see how it
Yeah.
goes. You can't go wrong if you want to meet people in person. Here's a chance to do it.
Yes, yes, definitely come out, learn how to talk to people. And I tell people this is best for people who have social anxiety. If you have social anxiety and you have not had the opportunity to practice talking to strangers and new people, this is the best place to do it. And I'm not big on religion myself, but I tell people all the time, when you pray to God and you ask God for things like money, wealth, a car, a house, a new job, you have to understand that God has already given you 7 billion humans on this planet. He's already given you one of the biggest gifts. You didn't make the clothes that you wear right now. Another human made it. You didn't make the car that you're driving. Another human's made it. You didn't create the internet that helped you order food so you don't have to go to the grocery store no more. Another human did it. And so when you talk about wanting to achieve life goals, when you talk about wanting to exceed further, you need to continue learning how to talk to strangers. You have to practice it. So even in the aspect of not just dating people, but learning how to communicate with different personalities so that you can have that comfort when you go out into the world and start talking to people. Come to Mix and Mingle and learn how to get over your social anxiety.
There you go. As always, Torre, it is always a pleasure to have you here. I'm going to tell people, go back, listen to this episode, go back to the first episode, because I always tell people, people get into dating, and to be honest, they're not even ready to sit at a dating table. They just don't want to be alone. And hence, they wonder why they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, stop and look at you and see, am I really ready to date while I'm out here like this? And figure out, if you're really not the issue, then maybe it's how you're dating. That's the issue that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as always, great to have you on. Look forward to seeing you on Monday. I can't wait to see this experience. I can't wait to see people in the mix doing their thing. I'll come back and report everybody. But remember, you still have that opportunity to get out there and do the work on you. You don't have to wait on somebody else. So that's a big piece.
No.
So I look forward to seeing you on Monday. And
absolutely.
All right, everybody. There you have it right there. Dating 101. If you have a fear of digital dating, go back and listen to this, because there are some good nuggets. I always thank everyone for listening to the episode, because the whole purpose of this podcast is to help you to identify your ambition, harness that motivation to help you acquire the success and satisfaction you seek in every aspect of your life. So remember, if you miss this episode, you never have to fear. You can always find episodes on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audibles, any podcast platform. Pretty much I'm there. Just search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition, and you will find me there. Of course, the easy thing is if you go to my website, maya-speaks.com, all things Maya is there, and you won't have to worry about it. You should also be subscribing to my YouTube channel, as well as anything that's social media. It's X, it's Facebook, it's IG. Everything is at Maya Speaks to You, and voila, there you are right there. Everything Maya. And there's some good stuff in there. So if you're free on Monday, everybody, pop out, check it out. It's definitely worth being there to see what's going on, because you might think you're not dating right, and maybe you are. Maybe you just need to change a couple things up. So until next time, maybe I'll see you on Monday. But if not, remember, your future becomes your past, and your present is no more. So you have to live every single day to the fullest, everybody, because life may not be simple, but it doesn't have to be highly complicated either, if you're willing to put just a little bit of work into it. That's it for me. I'm out. I will see you.
Whether you're on the go or listening on your cell phone, tablet, or laptop, you can find the show in the iTunes, Google, and iHeartRadio platforms.
With all due respect, I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Just search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition, and get ready to be inspired and motivated to harness your ambition.